I am with the folks in Ohio. Good evening, Americans. Welcome to the Ed Show live from Toledo, Ohio. The president is on tour to promote his jobs bill. Tonight, I'm giving the folks of Ohio a chance to have their voices heard on jobs and a lot of other issues, especially Senate Bill number 5. I'm here tonight to talk about American jobs, American workers. You folks okay with that? This is the Ed Show. Let's get to work. Good to have you with us tonight, folks, here on MSNBC, The Ed Show. We are beginning a tour of a number of cities. We are first here in Toledo, Ohio. I've never been to Toledo, Ohio, and I've met nothing but great people. People who are concerned. First of all, I like it because I don't have to wear a suit tonight. Is that okay? You know, Toledo, Ohio is a very special place in America's history when it comes to workers. I saw that today as soon as we got here at the airport. We got in the car, we started driving through a city that I wanted to know about. And, of course, we had a cab driver. Cab drivers are like encyclopedias. They know everything there is to know about their city. And one fact that jumped out at me right there in the cab today was China has purchased land in the city of Toledo. Is that correct? Yeah! So let's start the program understanding one thing. Our competitor, China, across the way, thinks there's something of value in Toledo, Ohio, so they purchased it. I guess it's that free market thing they're doing, you know? But here in America, we haven't had anybody step up and say, I want this building, I want this building, I want to create opportunities. Now, the Chinese are willing to do it here in America, but where are investors? Now, when we were driving through the city today, I saw the elementary school, and I thought, well, Senate Bill 5 is after the teachers who were in that building. When I went past the construction site, there were a few workers, not as many as there should have been. When I went past Mercy Hospital, I thought, well, those nurses are in there. They're fighting like hell. They want a fair shake. And how many people are walking into that emergency room without health care? And then I went to downtown area, and I saw all of these buildings. Now, folks, you hear about it on the news, you read about it on the news, but when you go through a city and you see brick and mortar and you see buildings that have got signs on them that say, nobody's doing business here, you can lease it, and it's building after building. You know what this city is really good at so far? Putting boards over windows. And I couldn't help but think, okay, what happened in this building? What did they used to do here? What did they manufacture? Where did those jobs go? Why'd they lock them out? What did they do in that building? Where did those workers go? Did they leave? Are they gone? Do they not want to work? What's happening here? And when you see buildings like that here in the Rust Belt, here in the breadbasket of labor in America, here where there are open hearts that want to work and don't want a handout, you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of country are we becoming? President Obama is trying to do something to put people back to work. But we have this political divide taking place in Washington, D.C. that is absolutely amazing. We have one party that says, we're not going to do anything to help this president because we want to defeat him. The president talks to the American people. He says, these folks can't wait 14 more months. So the president is on tour. I hope he goes on tour every single day. And I hope he goes to North Carolina again. I hope he goes to Indiana. I hope he goes to Michigan. I hope he comes back to Ohio. He was in Ohio yesterday, and he said this about the jobs bill.
Ohio, if you pass this bill, then right here in this state, tens of thousands of construction workers will have a job again. Pass this jobs bill, and there will be funding to save the jobs of up to 14,000 Ohio teachers and cops and firefighters. There are schools all throughout Ohio that need this kind of renovation. There's a bridge in Cincinnati that connects Ohio to Kentucky that needs this kind of renovation. There are construction projects like these all across the country just waiting to get started, and there are millions of unemployed construction workers who are looking for a job. So my question to Congress is, what on earth are we waiting for?
And, of course, a Gallup poll out today showing 45% of Americans want their congressional member to vote for the American Jobs Act. Only 32% want them to vote against it. So once again, the people aren't being listened to by the Republicans. Now, in the state of Ohio, boots on the ground here, it's a radical agenda that has been proposed by Governor Kasich. He has gone after collective bargaining. He's gone after the workers. So here's what's happening. In Washington, they are saying, well, we're not going to do this jobs package because we want to see President Obama defeated, and that's our goal. That's the Republicans. Here in the heartland, you have Kasich on the offensive against American workers. What has he done to fill these factories across the street that are empty? What has he done to help out those teachers? What has he done to help out those nurses? What has he done? He's taken away their voice in the workplace. And that's why these Americans that you see here tonight, 1.3 million Ohioans have signed on to issue number 2 to say we don't want it like this in our state. It wasn't only happening in Wisconsin, in Indiana, in Michigan, in New Jersey, in Florida. It's happening here in Ohio, okay? And last night, after months of being very dogmatic about his position, after months of saying he doesn't want to negotiate, now that issue number 2 is on the ballot, here's Kasich on Safe Haven over with Hannity on Fox News last night. Here it is.
Families are unemployed, Sean. We got to start getting things together. We got to reach a little common ground out here. But there are some things in that, like that payroll tax cut and some other things that we could maybe reach agreement. But let's find those things that we can all agree upon so we can start getting these kids out of poverty and get people back to work.
Yeah, let's find some of those things we can work on, Governor Kasich. I want every Ohioan to know tonight that we have this chair right here. This was for Governor Kasich. And I wanted him to come on the program, but he didn't want to be here to talk about it. He wanted to go over, and I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow night. And, Governor, I'm going to have this same chair sitting right here for you, buddy. You come right on over here. You see, because, John, when you used to have a show on Fox, I was a guest on your show. But now that you're a hotshot governor going after all these workers, you don't want to come on my show and talk about the issues, dude. You go over there with Hannity, we're at Safe Haven, and you get the softballs. And now, after beating up the workers and getting Senate Bill 5 through a radical session of your legislature, now you want to sit down and talk about it now that issue 2 is on the ballot. It doesn't work that way. Here's the bottom line. There's a sign in the back of this room. It says the fight the attack on the middle class, because the battle lines are now drawn. The legislative battle lines are now drawn. And this is about workers' rights. This is about the middle class being under attack. But tonight, if I can get one viewer across America to understand what it's like to be in a manufacturing city that has lost hundreds of thousands of jobs, 400,000 manufacturing jobs gone out of this state. That's a big number. The mayor of this city, who's going to join us later tonight, is worried about his tax base and he can't meet the budget. Well, hell, all the workers are gone. How can you have a tax base if you don't have anybody working and paying it? Now, what I just said, if you had watched the Republican debate the other night, what I just said pretty much is brain surgery, isn't it? We're going to hear from these great folks here in the program tonight. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: will the American Jobs Act help towns like Toledo get back on their feet? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. You can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com for a comment, and we'll bring you the results later on in the show. Now, tonight, Joining me is a brother in the fight, Leo Gerard. He's the president of the United Steelworkers Union here on the Ed Show. I read about it, I hear about it. Today I drove around and I saw it. It has a profound effect on you when you see a building, a brick and mortar that's empty. It makes you do a double and triple take and think about what the hell's going on in this country. Mr. Gerard, what are we going to do to fill these buildings up?
Well, I think first we've got to do is make sure that we start working to pass the president's job bill. I think that that's a step in the right direction. We've got to reject the right-wing radical agenda. We've got to understand that since the passage of the Bush administration in 2000, we've lost 58,000 factories. So Toledo is one of those examples, but you can go to many other communities, many other towns where you'll see the same thing. And then you've got a radical agenda because the tax base has been eroded. You got the Kasichs of the world who are saying they're going to take away workers' rights, they're going to lay off teachers, firemen, nurses, they're not going to do anything about job creation, and what you're going to do is dig the hole even deeper. What we need to do is make sure that the workers reject SB 5 and reject on issue 2, vote no on issue 2, and showcase it. What they need to do is show this governor and other governors that what people want is a chance to earn a living. That's what they want. They want a chance to have their voice heard. They want to have a chance to work and retire with dignity. And we're not going to do that unless we rebuild the manufacturing base of this country.
We're going to talk more about the manufacturing base later on in the program again with you, Mr. Gerard. But I want to talk about this issue. Issue number 2. What if it stands up? What's it going to, if it doesn't get repealed? What does that do to the state of Ohio and workers?
I think what it'll do to the state of Ohio is basically take away the bargaining power of workers. And it will do is continue to suppress people's wages, people's standard of living. We just saw a report recently that showed, got a bunch of right-wingers outside. What it shows is that we've got more poverty now than any time since the Great Depression. We've got more people that have fallen out of the system than any time since the Great Depression. And unless we reject SB 5 by supporting and voting no on issue 2, we're going to continue to suppress wages, we're going to continue to suppress people's voices, and Toledo won't get up off the ground. The fact that you saw that property was purchased by the Chinese want to invest in America, but American management want to go invest in China.
What's your thought when you heard that China has purchased land here in the city of Toledo for $3 million after the city put $43 million in an investment into it?
What I thought is that it's a betrayal of America's industrial base. The fact of the matter is that you've got Chinese companies that want to invest here. They want to invest in the... Hang on a minute. They want to invest in the solar industry here, but they're destroying the solar industry that was already here. So what we need to do is make sure that we're talking about government, we're talking about President Obama's jobs bill. And if we can get Republicans to pass the president's jobs bill, we can create American jobs for American workers using American taxpayer dollars. We don't need to rely on the Chinese if we could get the Republicans to do their job.
Join us later in the program talking more about manufacturing jobs. We're going to visit with the folks here in Ohio. And there's just so many facets of creating jobs. It's about risk takers. It's about believing in American workers. Leo Gerard, thanks for joining us tonight. Leo will join us a little bit later on in the program. Remember to answer tonight's question there at the bottom of the screen. I want to know what you think. Manufacturing jobs in Ohio have been on a decade-long decline. Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur of Ohio joins me to talk about the importance of passing the jobs bill. And later, the mayor of Toledo joins me. He's a supporter of Senate Bill 5, and I want to know why. He's a former firefighter. Stay with us. We're right back with more with the folks from Toledo, Ohio, here on the